Hello, hello. Hello, interwebs, people of the interwebs. Is there anybody out there? Only me. Okay, folks. Give it a minute or two for people to arrive, perhaps. I have just made a hot coffee, and maybe a minute or so late, I had to give the doggy some food and made a frothy coffee. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but some kind of milky, frothy. I don't think it's a cappuccino or anything, but it's some kind of mocha. No, not mocha. It's not a chocker. Not a. I don't know. It's frothy. A guy called Cliff brought a few packs over. When was that? 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not entirely sure. I've just noticed I got a load of dog hair on the. See this? That was on the tennis racket of doom. Okay, I'm talking to myself at the minute, folks. Okay, for the people who watch this on video on demand, watch this as a video after the event. This is a TrampCast Hangout. I am Delta Mike. The channel is Delta Mike Down and Out in Torrevieja. As I say, I'm Delta Mike. Down and out. A tramp, a hobo, a homeless guy, a vagrant, an indigent person, a person of no fixed abode. Some might say a bum. And there's all sorts of other synonyms. Can I remember them? Someone who sleeps rough on the streets, or in my case, in a field, folks. We're outside at the minute. You can't really tell because night time. But so that's Delta Mike, me, down and out. The synonyms I just said. Torrevieja, that's a city on the southeast coast of Spain. With me tonight, as ever, is my beautiful assistant. Let me see whether I can do the necessary. I've cleaned the screen a little bit. Here she is. Tina, go. Say hello to the peoples. Say hello to our friends. There's my beautiful assistant, the Tina girl, with her very, very broken dog bowl. Keeps getting stood on and squashed, and that's by both of us, not just her. I have in the night stepped on it occasionally. Doesn't have a fixed spot in the tent. Moves about. You get up in the night. A gentleman of a certain age will understand. You get up in the night and crunch sometimes. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, people are starting to arrive. The numbers are starting to rise. I've only just poured this frothy coffee thing. Let me move the glasses out of the way and see whether it's too hot still. A little bit too hot, but manageable. New glasses, care of my friend Josie. She brought me like a whole pack with about 5 different pairs of various strengths and sizes and styles. Thank you, Josie. She brought me all sorts, folks. We will talk about it sometime soon. I don't know whether tonight's the night, but sometime soon. Hannah, hello, and Tombstone, Mr. Tombstone, Tom B. Stone. You see, I missed that gag for the first few weeks that he did it. Tombstone. Too clever for me. Let me have another sip. Did you miss me? Oh, hot. Oh, I've been gone a little while, folks. I guess I should apologise. Should I? Maybe not. I've just not been in the mood. After I went to Tweety's that time and picked up those blisters on my feet, and the blisters all got infected, but not only the blisters, I had a few bites on my legs, I had a few scratches and scrapes from walking into bushes and trees and things in the field. Everything got infected. I had about 7 huge, infected, pus-filled, gaping wounds on each leg. Still got half of them. 4 weeks later nearly. It'll be 4 weeks on Friday, so in 3 or 4 days' time. That's taken its toll. I know previously we couldn't walk far, but when your legs are pus-filled volcanoes, yeah, that takes it out of you. So I've been a little bit down. I didn't know why I was down. I couldn't tell you why I was down. I can only tell you that I kind of was. In fact, last week, I've made 0 notes at all in the last 7 or 8 days. Well, until today. I've made 0 notes what happened last week. I'm currently racking my brain trying to backfill a list of events just to, so that when I eventually do get around to doing TrampCasts proper again and detailing 7 days in the life of, when we catch up and get to last week, I want to have something to say. At the minute, it's empty pages really. There are a couple of things I can highlight, but nothing much. So that's strange. I'll have to rack my brain a little more and discuss Joby, my friend Joby, the English guy who used to live in the field and who is currently visiting. He's still here. I shall have a meeting of minds with him and see what happened last week. What can I add to my notes? Try and backfill those. I've started making notes for this week, so, but I must be 6 weeks or more behind with the normal TrampCast, and then the hangouts that are supposed to be random, but I fell into certain patterns like Friday night and Sunday night after the normal TrampCast. I've been missing those recently. Again, I don't know whether I need to apologise or not, because they're not meant to be a fixed thing. They're meant to be more random and more unscheduled. But somehow we fell into a pattern, and then I've gone and broken the pattern. But if I'm not feeling it, folks, if I'm not feeling it, then I'm not doing it. It's, you know, it's my show. Talking about me, my life, my circumstances, it's just me, isn't it? If I'm not feeling it, I'm not doing it. But suddenly today, I felt like doing it. I did have a little bit of a waver about half an hour ago. I was like, do I really feel like it? But here I am. I'm all yours. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let me scroll back. I've probably missed. There was Hannah arriving. I saw that. People kept thinking my alias was genuine. I felt bad. Tried to make it obvious. Tom B. Stone. Well, you were Thomas before, and you've still got the Tom and Jerry Tomcat kind of logo. So that's all right. Hope you're well. I am, apart from these big gaping wounds on my legs. Karen gave me some kind of powder to put on them, some medicated powder, which helped dry things up. But it's a tiny little thing. That's not going to last forever. My mate Joby, while he was out and about, he found half a bottle of hand sanitizer, liquid alcohol, alcohol gel. Though that's helped a lot. Putting that on quite liberally dries out the wounds, allows them to fairly quickly grow a skin over the top, which helps stop the wound getting deeper and wider and everything, but it is still gathering pus basically. It's still weeping under the. So I press down this for the pimple poppers amongst you who like this, but for others you might not. Press down on the newly formed skin over the top of the wound, and it kind of pops and spits out some thick, treacly blood and pus mixed together. Or sometimes just a more weepy ejaculate. Not in that way, but yeah, I'm still in the middle. Half of the wounds have healed, or are well on the way. 90% plus way to healed, but half of them are still quite actively quite nasty. Need to treat them 2 or 3 times a day with the alcohol gel and have a good squeeze of get the bad stuff out. Not nice. It's the first time. I mean, I've been in this field 3 years now. Never happened before. Always had scrapes and cuts and the odd bite. But I think what it was the blisters that attracted the flies initially. And then when you've got a cloud of flies around your legs and you're wearing shorts and you've got all these cuts and the open wounds that blisters are once you've taken the top off. Everything, every scratch, every little open wound on my leg got infected. Like I said, about 7 or 8 on each leg. And they've gone from being little scratches or bites or little blisters to being about that big on the leg. Some of that is just where it oozes out and crusts over, but some of it the wound has extended. One of them went quite deep. That one seems to be on the mend a little bit now. I think we've turned the corner with that. That's the one that yesterday grew a skin over it, but came up like a volcano on my ankle or on my shin. But I just touched it and it literally shot 18 inches. 18 inches, anybody? 36, 45 centimeters or thereabouts ish. Yeah, nasty, thick, treacly blood with blood and pus mixed. Lovely conversation, isn't it? But we're talking about my life, and this is my life at the minute. I have to treat these things about three times a day. I've been wearing long pants for the last week, maybe more, just so the flies aren't landing back on and reinfecting everything. And it's been bloody warm. Warmest Spanish summer since 1912, was it? Over 100 years. It's the warmest Spanish summer in 100 years. Over 2.5 degrees warmer on average than average. Yeah. Warm. So that was Tom asking, hope you're well. I'll tell you what I need to do. I haven't done the live. Everybody, select live chat. You see there, look, there are comments I've missed. Or maybe it just came in. Terence. Hello, Mike and Tina. Hello, Terence. How are you doing, sir? How's everybody doing? How are you guys doing? You ladies and gentlemen there. How's life with you guys? Stop me talking about pus-filled, infested fucking wounds. Let's talk about something nice for a change. Like my lovely coffee. Like I said, a guy called Cliff brought me a bag of goodies. I'm not sure. I'm going to say 3 weeks ago, but I'm kind of guessing a little bit. Might be 4 by now. And I kind of forgot that there was a pack of these coffee sachets. Can I reach them across the... I don't think I can reach without causing mayhem. Let me try. Extreme close-up of my ugly mug. I do apologise. Yeah, here we go. I don't know if we can make out what they're actually called. It says Mocate Gold. I don't know if that's a brand or if that... Mocate Gold Premium. I don't think it says anything else. So I don't know if that's like a style. Is Mocate, is that a brand name, or is that a... Oh, it's going to be reversed for you, sorry. Or is that like a mocha or a... I don't bloody know, folks. It's nice. A little bit sickly sweet. When I made the first one, I almost put sugar in, but I'm glad I didn't. That would have been a little bit overly sickly. But I got this. Oops, I've tied a lot of air in the bag. There's a good few sachets there though. Probably, what, 15 maybe? Whoop. Might have been 20 to begin with. We're on our third. Me and Joby had one each earlier. Whoa! Knocking shit over. Okay, folks, where are we? Sahara Moonshine. Hello, hello. That's a lovely name. I like that. I had to stop and make sure it wasn't Sarah. Sahara. Sahara Moonshine. It's a fantastic name. Let's show you Tina again, because some of you might not have been here earlier when I did it. Let me reverse the camera. Give me a second to find the light. Hey, babe. Hello, you. Hello, you. Let's see if people can see you. There we go. You're at a weird angle to them, but there you are. She loves her chin tickles. Hey, babe. Hey, babe. She's just had her food. Hey, there we go. Okay. I've got to talk to the peoples. You're going to say hello to the peoples. Oh. Here she is. Defending the camp from the evils that are cats. Keep the bloody cats away, eh? You go get them, girl. You go get them. Well, she can't go get them, but let me turn the flash off. Reverse the camera back on the guy who thinks he's a star of the show, but obviously isn't really. Tina is doing well. She's doing all right. She's doing all right. It's a shame that because of my legs, we haven't been out with her chariot, which is. Let me do this again. Look, the chariot is parked just there, just behind the beer. She hasn't been out in it in a while because I can't walk. Well, I can't walk any distance. Getting there now. It won't be long. Everything on my feet is almost healed. My shins are the main point at the minute. I've got one or two on thighs. But the majority of the things that are still bad are on my shins. If I can get those on the way to being mended, and so they're not painful, I'll be able to walk and take her out properly. At the minute, I'm still using the belt and just taking her for quick walks, just for the ablutions, just for the necessaries. It's easier just to sling a belt under her waist and carry the back end than it is to spend 10 minutes putting her in the chariot. We'll get there though, folks. We'll get there. But yeah, it's not been an easy time the last few weeks, just because of managing. I mean, if I say pain, that's overdoing it. It's tenderness, it's soreness, it's there's a little bit of ouchie at times when something presses on it. Tina has a habit because I'm walking her with the belt slung under her waist. We're walking side by side, and we're going out through a narrow path. And Tina has a habit of wobbling a little bit and bumping into me or pushing me into the bushes still picking up injuries from her pushing me into the... See, when she could walk, she'd be ahead of me or behind me. So we only needed a narrow path. All these plants have grown tremendously this year. We had a very wet spring and now a very hot summer. Everything bloomed, everything grew to begin with. It all died off again in summer. These plants that normally have berries on never really made it to fruit. But everything grew a lot early on. So the pathways that we walk through have been impinged on by the shrubbery, by the spiky bushes at the side. So when she's alongside me and we're both trying to fit through a narrow thing, one or other of us is going to be walking into prickly bushes, and it's typically me. Which was why I had lots of scratches and scrapes on my legs in the first place. That plus a few bites, and then the blisters, and then the flies came and did what flies do. And it went bad from there. Let's move on. Keep training it little by little, don't overexert. Yeah, no, I'll take it easy with the chariot, the doggy wheelchair. It wasn't Tina that overdid it when we went to Tweeties. It was me, because I was in new shoes that I didn't realise were a size or two too small. They're labelled as being my size. They're just not. So they impinged on both big toe, little toe, and also on the top of one of my other toes. So each foot had 3 blisters on the toes. Some of them were blister within blister. They'd taken the top off one and then got a blister on the underlying skin. There was like a volcano of blister within blister, 2, maybe 3 deep in places. Which is where, and then sitting out here with sandals or whatever, that's when the flies got me. They came for the blisters, they stayed for the other wounds, and literally every scratch or scrape on my legs got infested and went bad. Every one of them became a pus-filled fucking volcano of puss. Let's move on. Have you had bad weather? Not bad weather, no. Vestenor. Hello again. It's been a little while. Although it's going to seem like a little while to everybody because I haven't been on myself. Bad weather, no, but the weather's turning. There is a cool breeze now. Instead of being... Whoa! Shut up. So instead of being... it's crazy hot still through the day. It's still hitting 30 degrees. And some days there's no breeze through the day. And it's 30 degrees and quite humid and muggy. Some days it's just 30 degrees and just lots and lots of sun. And so the tent becomes it's basically a polytunnel, isn't it? It's a greenhouse. Whereas in summer, it's hot and the breeze is even warmer than the ambient temperature. Now the breeze has got a little bit of a cool edge. And tonight, I've even brought out a jumper. I brought out a sweater. Now this is a little overkill. If I'd been able to plan in advance, I would have just brought like a shirt or maybe a long sleeve t-shirt or something. But this was what was to hand, It's been lying on the bed since spring. um, but yeah, that's what that is. Give us a second, folks. I just want to look at something. Okay. No. No. Can I put that there? That'll balance. So we haven't had bad weather yet. Any day now, usually by this time in September, we would have had what they now call a dana. They used to call a gota fria, which basically means cold drop. It's a sudden drop in temperature which causes the heavens to open, thunderstorms and torrential rain, usually for 2 or 3 days at this time of year. Haven't had any of that yet, but it's coming. It's a matter of time, folks. It is just a matter of time before that happens, and hopefully we're in good shape for it. I've got a huge tarpaulin on the tent. It's weathered summer. It is starting to do the grin. You know, these things are woven. It's plastic woven and then a clear sheet put over, and then it's kind of pressed and ironed on and kind of all melted together supposedly. But over time it all starts to grin. So there are places where you can see through little squares. Now I don't know if they're holes or if it's just stretched and that clear sheet is still in place, because its main purpose was to keep the sun off the tent, stop ultraviolet damage to the plastic. So its purpose was never to maintain water tightness. That doesn't sound right. Waterproof. Anyway, whatever. That wasn't its purpose. The purpose was to try and prolong the life of the tent. Now I've got doubts about this. We're about 4 months in, maybe 5, and we've already got some pretty severe damage to the tent in one spot. If you've been following the story, you'll know that Tina tried to bum shuffle out of the tent one night, got a leg caught on the zip, and she tore the zip around the door on that side, the side nearest the dirt track. She tore all the way along the bottom of the doorway, the zip off, and about 30 centimeters or a foot up on either side, until it hit like a reinforced bit of fabric with extra stitching that's obviously there to stop things like that from running. So we had that, but more recently, within the last couple of weeks, this huge rip alongside the door appeared. 2.5 feet, almost a meter from the ground up. That stopped at a certain point. I put tape, I put the duct tape on that, 2 or 3 strips. It held for a day and a half, and then the commotion, Tina getting in and out of the tent, bum shuffling over the threshold, where the under the door sits up like 9 inches or so. She can't step over it, obviously, with her back legs not working. What the hell? A moth flew right in at my eye. She can't step over it, so she bum shuffles out, and I think that puts strain on the wall where the tape was, and it pinged open again. The top of the rip, as the tape has held, so that rip isn't running. It isn't extending, but it's quite serious damage for a tent that was as expensive as it was, and that's only 4.5, maybe 5 months old at a push. But in fairness to the tent manufacturers, they're not designed for continuous use, are they? They expect you to use them twice a year for a week at a time while you're on holiday, and maybe a few other days. They're not expecting to just put it up and living in it permanently. That's not the intended use case. So got to give them a little bit of leeway or benefit of the doubt on that. But yeah. So we're waiting for the bad weather. I think the tent's in pretty good shape. Even if the tarpaulin isn't perfect, the tarpaulin is kind of on sideways as well still at the minute. I can always twist the tarpaulin 90 degrees and it would cover the tent entirely. At the minute it covers it nicely, but then it's tucked under and it's tucked under kind of fourfold on either side because there's so much excess, because it's the length of the tarp is covering the width of the tent, and so the whole thing can be rotated and readjusted if needed, if I decide I need that extra coverage. There's a lot of excess fabric there. It is a huge tarp. I think it was something like 8 meters by 5 meters. Something like that. It might be 8 by 6. Can't remember. But as I said, it is fairly weathered itself. And I use these grips to hold it in place, which put a strain on the tarp as well. And as soon as we put it on, we had big winds. We had big windstorms, which stressed it and stretched it. Whenever we put up a new tent or a new tarp, we get a massive storm either that day or the next. It's amazing how often that shit happens. No. Tina, no. I don't think there's anybody there, darling. No. I said no. Thank you. Dog. It's probably a cat or a bird. I'm just gonna check whether chat froze or whether nobody's talking to me. Ah, we go. The chat froze. Sorry guys, I didn't see. So there was Terence asking any bad weather. Torrential rain and flooding in the UK, but today's boiling hot. Yeah, the weather's kind of all over the place in the UK from what I can gather. You had that really hot spring, and then it got all wet, and then you had a really hot summer in most places, I think. Then it got bad again, and the last week it was like down to 10 degrees and raining everywhere, and now you've got hot days again. That's, yeah. Constant rain in central Norway for 3 days on end. That's no good. Tom, were it feasible, I'd bring you a few reindeer to skin, or just bring a reindeer skins. Great all-weather tents. Yeah. Did you see that the other day? I don't know whether this was widely circulated, but I caught this. Some Americans don't believe that reindeer are real. They thought it was just part of the Santa myth. They're like, what? Wait, what? Reindeer are real? Ambulance. We had a car crash out here a few days ago. Thursday night, 11:15. Someone hit the brakes. They were obviously travelling too fast, hit the brakes, skidded and crashed into a parked car as far as I can tell. Car alarm on the parked car made precisely one beep before stopping. Yeah, I came out a little bit. It was a little bit further around. I couldn't really see anything, but the big building that's been worked on for the last couple of years you could see the blue flashing lights reflecting off it, So the cops never heard a siren. The police didn't arrive, all lights and sirens, so it can't have been anything serious. But they did arrive. But it looked like it was only one cop car from the lights flashing on the building. That's about the only excitement around here, I think. I am just waiting for the weather to turn, though. Like I said, there's a slight chill in the air tonight, although it feels like it's warming up again a little bit now. Like I said, I brought a jumper out, brought a sweater out, in case. But I currently don't feel like it will be needed. I'm on coffee at the moment, folks. But this morning, my friend Anthony arrived. Well, he arrived in the country yesterday, and he said, "I'll bring you a breakfast tomorrow." And he did. He brought me and Joby like a paper plate with a full Irish breakfast. And yeah, fantastic. But he also brought me a few cold cans of beer, and you've got to appreciate cold while you've got it. So it will be a two-fisted drinking session. It will be a two-fisted drinking session. Coffee on the one hand. I had one just before this. This is my second one, so I can't. I thought about doing, I've got two of these insulated cups. I thought about doing two. I would have if I'd not already had one, but I think 3 cups of coffee at this time of night. I do like a late night coffee, but 3 would probably be overdoing it a little bit. Unless you wanted me to sit here chatting with you until 8 o'clock in the morning. You'd have to give me topics to talk about, but maybe I could do that one day. We should try for a 24-hour stream one day. What do you think? We need to prepare and have actual topics lined up, and people... Maybe some people would come on. I don't know how that would work, but we'll have to try and work something like that out. Talk of... Oh, hold on. Talk of snow and a... What was that? Polar vortex. There is talk... Hold on. Oh, it's jumped right back. There's Vestino. Vestino, remind me. Real name and where are you? Only if you want, but I'm sure you have told me before, and I'm just being dumb. Keeps jumping. Then I'm back to bad weather. Have you had torrential rain, flooding, constant rain in Norway? Yeah, reindeer skins. Okay. Talk snow in the UK and the vortex approaches, the polar vortex. I heard the polar vortex was forming, and people in America were starting to get worried. Terence asks, did you manage to get a laptop yet? I do, although I'm struggling a little bit, but we'll cover that another day, I think, because I'm going to do a separate video, I think, about the tech I have at my disposal and how I power it and things. I want to do that as a separate thing. I also have multiple tablets. I'm a very lucky boy. I'm struggling with one though. I've got this problem where I did a factory reset on it, and when I log in on my account, Google does the whole 2-factor authentication thing, and my phone pops up and I say yes, it's me, and it all it tells me I've logged in on my phone. It says yeah, the other device is logged in. It comes up, it says it's a successful login, but the tablet says that there's an issue because it's a recent factory reset and a recent password change on my account. It just doesn't let me in and tells me to try again later. Now online they say to leave it 24 hours, but that's making no difference. So then the solution, get this, to contact Google. The odds of contacting and getting anywhere with with Google support. Ah. Now the one that Karen brought me is working fine. We did the factory reset on that, and that was fine. But Josie brought me one, and so I've got like a backup in case anything goes wrong. And both of these tablets can take a SIM card and act like as a phone. Act as like a big phone. So if anything happens with my phone, as long as I've still got the SIM card, I'm not stranded. I won't disappear from the interwebs. Prior to having these, if the phone broke, that's me gone. That was my single point of failure. And it's not long ago that my last phone the USB connection that where you plug in and power up just went clunk and cracked, and the old phone wouldn't charge. So that was me offline until people came out and brought me a phone. 2 other guys tried to send me phones, but postal, international, it's difficult nowadays, especially with the UK not being in the EU. Paperwork's changed, it's all different. Yeah, that's... Tom says skull. I don't think I opened it. I don't think I took a drink, did I? Skull. Kippies, if any of my Finlandia friends are watching. Salud in español. And français. You got more chance getting in contact with Jesus than Google. My thoughts exactly. My thoughts exactly. What I might do, if I can leave it, say, a month, because it's like my backup kind of device. Leave it a month, do another factory reset, and this time it won't be a factory reset right after a password change. And then it shouldn't complain. When I first set up 2-factor authentication as well, I got a list of 10 or 20 one-time passcodes that you can use in various circumstances. I wondered whether those would work. I used it once when I got the new phone. I used one of them to save the bother of trying to log in properly, remembering passwords when you're trying to log into Google for the first time on a new phone. Maybe one of those would work, but I'm going to leave it maybe another week, maybe a little more, and then try again. And who knows, maybe I'll try contacting Google. It'll all be the automated, it'll be with the chatbots and stuff. There won't actually be a bloody human at the other end of it anywhere. We'll see how that goes though, folks. But I am quite technologied up at the minute. Laptop, tablets. Oh, Josie also gave me, you know, a little while ago, I lost the 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter that gives you a couple of USB ports. I've lost one in the tent a few months ago, and it still hasn't turned up. I'm really mystified as to where that could have gone. But Josie, in the pack of things that she brought me, when they arrived in the country, there's one of those to give me an extra flexibility for USB connections. Sometimes my EcoFlow only has 2 USB-As and one USB-C. Well, this gives me extra options. It's got an extra USB-C and an extra USB-A that can go in the 12-volt port on the EcoFlow. For a tramp, folks, for a tramp. I'm still running the fan most days in the tent. There was one day this week I didn't need it. It was a cloudy day and there was a little bit of a breeze, so I got a through draft through the tent on a day that wasn't too sunny and too hot. So that was nice. But most days I am still running a full-on electric fan, one of the tall ones with the big blades, like you would have in your house. It's not bad for a tramp, is it? My cool box is kaput. My cool box hasn't worked for me this summer. I'm still considering a fridge. I don't know whether I need it in winter or whether I wait until spring next year for that, or do I just get it now? Very much glamping. Rather than tramping and camping, I'm glamping. I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know how I feel about that. They're not expensive. Seen them for 135 euros. It's just a gamble as to whether the EcoFlow will run it. The normal wattage of like 50 watts, no problem. 50 to 60 watts. They say that when the compressor kicks in, it uses about triple for 1 or 2 seconds. The EcoFlow should easily be able to cope with that, as long as that's real, as long as the documentation's correct. But 130 to 150 euros to gamble on whether that documentation's correct and it actually does work at that level. Well, the documentation will be correct that the normal power is 50. It's whether that estimation that you read online about triple, it's whether that's correct. And you that's not the company's fault. If that's not the company saying it uses about triple. That's just a guideline on the internet. So that's not on the company. If I spend 130 euros or 150 euros of your money and get it wrong, that's on me, not the company. Now, if I buy it from somewhere like Leroy Merlin, will they take it back if it just doesn't work in my circumstances? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe there'd be a restocking fee and I'd lose some money anyway. I'm not sure how that would work. Maybe if we ask the salesman before taking it, I don't know. Don't know how that would work, folks. I'm not sure. Have you ever heard of a POC device? Well worth a look. POC, the only POC I know is like proof of concept. Where are you going with POC? A POC device, POC device. New to me, unless when you spell it out, it means something else. POC device. I can look that up on the tablet, maybe. Maybe I get there before you type. It's unlikely. Let me have a quick look. Can't be that. That's to do with clinical stuff. Those look like radios or walkie-talkies. Point of care testing? No. No. Blood test? No. No clue. Sorry. Google doesn't know either. Person of colour. Okay, there's the other one. No, don't think that's where we were going. Careful, you'll be getting me labelled right wing again. Cheers. Folks, if you wouldn't mind, thumbs ups are always appreciated. Hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, don't. Not until you've seen at least 3 or 4 of my videos. I'm not for everybody. Sometimes I'm opinionated. Sometimes I say naughty words. I'm quite sweary. Some people don't appreciate that. I drink alcohol, even though I'm a tramp in a field. Because this can of beer, this can of beer, no, why did I reach for the unopened one? This can of beer will have cost, well, it can be got for 30 cents. I buy it in a shop for 40 because I can't walk far, so I have to put up with being ripped off. But it can be had for 30 cents. So it's not like a big extravagant expense. But the presence of alcohol on the stream does offend some people, and I do lose subscribers because of it. Now, I'd rather you didn't subscribe in the first place. If rather than Google seeing people leave or YouTube seeing people leave, wait and see whether I'm for you or not. Wait until you've seen 3 or 4 videos first. Now, I haven't been making much in the way of videos lately. I do still have one in the pipeline, which is a rehash of my first ever video. It was meant to be released on the 3rd anniversary of me being made homeless. I took my first video, I played it through, and I cut in some extra commentary around it. Sat here at night. So I'm playing a daylight video, and then I cut in with some extra commentary and stuff around that first video. Kind of still working on it a little bit because I took a 20-minute video, maybe 25-minute, and turned it into like an hour and a quarter. I might have waffled on a little bit too much, but I found the commentary quite apposite. I don't think I can trim much of it. I've not been in the mood, so I've not been actively working on it recently. I'm not saying it's not been released because, oh, it's complicated to edit. I haven't looked at it in weeks. But it's still in the pipeline. That will come out shortly. I will try and start doing some more videos. I want to get Tina in her chariot. As soon as my legs are good enough to go for like a reasonable length walk, say kind of around this block, to the end of this track, to the cliff top, across to the cliff tops, sit down and have a little natter with you all, and then carry on around and onto the main road and back around to here. I want to do that. It's a long time since we've done that walk. That used to be like the minimum walk. That used to be the minimum morning walk. I want to start doing that again. It's just, you have to understand that my shins and ankles are on fire at times with these infected wounds. But as soon as it's not sore, as soon as it's healed enough, it doesn't have to be fully healed, but as soon as it's healed enough that I can walk without my legs being on fire, we're gonna do that. We're gonna start doing some videos again, rather than just everything at the minute has been these live streams. Don't get me wrong, enjoy doing the live streams. It's just not all that the channel's supposed to be. It's supposed to be showing you day in, day out events in the life of. And then the TrampCast proper shows a week in the life of. We talk through the 7 days events, and then we have these TrampCast Hangouts, which is just me and you guys chatting. It's a personal. Okay, so well, Google did bring up some radios. Can communicate with people all over the world. It also has full internet access and office software with storage. I'll look into that. As long as it doesn't need like a ham radio license or anything, because I'm not doing... When you say radio, is it actually a proper radio, or is it all just done over the internet? See, my prepper mentality, my prepper mindset tells me that I don't want something that disappears if the internet disappears. Hold on, Tom said something about Schengen. Is Norway one of those countries that's not in the EU but pays to be in the Free Trade Association, and therefore you get movement and stuff? Non-EU but subservient to EU and Schengen. That'll be that, won't it? There's Roger. Hello, Roger. Good to see you, sir. The videos I miss, that's for sure. Yeah, I miss doing them as well. Doesn't work on selling. Okay. I'll have a look. I'll have a look into that Sahara Moonshine. It's a lovely handle. Is there a real name? Are you male or female? I can't see the black on. I can't see the avatar. Is there a real name behind that handle that you'd? I mean, you don't have to tell if you don't want, but some people don't mind saying. You don't need a ham radio license. Okay, I'll look at that. I was thinking about, when I get back to real life, I was thinking about some form of mesh. I am a male. Okay, mate. I wasn't trying to cast aspersions on your masculinity. I just the handle wasn't obvious, especially when I initially looked at Sahara and in my head I saw Sarah. I didn't say it, but I initially sorry, it's just me being a dick. I haven't finished my coffee yet, have I? Let me get my coffee finished. I had to trim my tash the other day. It's the first time I've even looked to see. It's not particularly straight, but I had so much hanging over. The tash was hitting down here somewhere, and every time I drank, it was just running. Some was just dripping straight off the tash down. Some was running down and hitting. The t-shirt I had on the other day, it was a vest, but it ended up with lots of coffee stains and various other stains. I actually dreamt up the name while sleeping. That's good. I like that. People who can kind of direct their dreams or get useful information or useful ideas from a dream and recall it long enough to make use of it. That's often a thing. Some mornings I wake up and I know I've had a great idea, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was. I have occasionally taken charge of my dreams and gone places and done things. Those are fun. I'm not going to say any more. You can imagine. It's jumping. The weather is mad all over, Roger. Spain. The guys in the UK are saying how weird it is that it's cold one minute, raining the next, and then hot the next. Yeah, Spain's having its hottest summer since 1916, I think it was. Oh wow, Sahara Moonshine. I had a car crash 10 years ago and it shook my brain. I think it brought out my creative mind. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. Brain changes, I mean, that could lead to personality changes, and the people who are close to you might not be as close to you anymore. If it adds features, that's good. As long as it doesn't take anything away. Traumatic brain injuries can be a mixed bag, I guess. Cheers to the folks that did hit the thumbs up. Sod off to the ones of you that didn't. I'm joking. It's only been a beautiful 31 today. I don't think we got that high here. I'm not sure. I wasn't monitoring it as such, but I know that this evening started to feel cool. So I brought a jumper out. I thought I might need. I brought a jumper just because it was the only like long sleeve thing I had to hand. But if I'd have had a long sleeve t-shirt to hand or just a shirt, like I've got a couple of like cotton. If I say lumberjack shirt, the lumberjack kind of tartan kind of patterns. Tartan's not the right word. What's the word? The check. They're, you know what I mean. You know what a lumberjack shirt looks like. These are not thick, heavy. They're thicker than a normal shirt, but they're nothing over the top. But I got a couple of those lying around somewhere, but they're not to hand. I didn't. Tomorrow I can go and look for kind of autumn clothing. I've still got a load. Do you remember when I emptied my tent when I was switching from one tent to another, and I put a load of things under a car, one of those covers you put over a car when you're leaving it unattended for a few months. That rotted in the sun, but some of the things are still just out there. I've got more clothes than I need. I've got more things than I need. A lady yesterday brought me 3 cushions, a sheet, and a shirt. She didn't ask. She just put them down and then shouted at me and said, "Hey, on your chair over there, I've left you some stuff." Oh, thank you, I guess. I got more pillows and cushions, and I own more pillows and cushions now than at any point in my life. And I was married for 20 years with a woman who, you know how they are with cushions and pillows and shit, you know. But I've got more now than then. I'm considering throwing my original pillow away. So when I was first homeless and living in the park, and I went around the bins, well, I was going to the shop, I think. I was just passing a bin. I wasn't even doing a deliberate bin run. I didn't back then. It took me a month before I accepted that that was a necessity. So I was just walking past a bin to the supermarket one day, and there was a one of those mattresses from the recliners around a swimming pool, and there was a pillow of the same pattern, and I've still got the pillow. The original mattress hasn't survived. The original pillow is like, it's got big rips and tears. It's falling apart, which is why I'm considering throwing it away. But there's an emotional attachment, folks. You remember when my original tarpaulin split a few months ago, and I got, I won't say teary, but I got a little emotional about that, and I'm a little bit the same with this pillow. But this lady's just brought 3 cushions. I can use those instead of the falling apart pillow. I got to be careful because I've got a little bit of a hoarder inability to let go of things when they're suboptimal, even when they're past their best. If I've got a good enough replacement, and the one that I'm using is falling apart, I should be able to just let go. And I just find that a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a full-on psych. Don't get me ready for the psych ward just yet. One flew over the cuckoo's nest and all that. But there is just that slight. It was my first find, basically, as a homeless guy. That mattress and the pillow. Put them out in the sun for a day just to let the ultraviolet and the ozone do its thing and clean them. You know, I just double check that there's nothing nasty, and away I went. And now, kind of 3 years later, 3 years plus, isn't it? That was August, probably. Could have been early September, but 3 years ago. Got to let go sometimes, folks. Sometimes I need a push to let go. My friend Karen and her family are better at telling me when it's time to let stuff go. I read a post somewhere about how to do this. You say thank you to the item that you're throwing away, and that help. Maybe take a photograph of it, say thank you, and see it on its way. That's how you let go. If you do have those tendencies, if you do have a hoarder kind of, I've only got a little bit of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a raving loon, but it was an important find. Both the mattress and, when I say mattress, it's like a big cushion really. It's not a mattress, just off a sunbed by the pool. But it's like they're not waterproof, but they dry easily. You can leave them outside. They get wet easily. They dry off, and it was fine. I've still got one in there somewhere. It's just not my original one, but I've got the original pillow for now. Let me stop ranting or rabbiting. Tom says, yeah, unfortunately we're at the beck and call of Brussels. A positive for me as an individual, but a shame for the nation. I'd like to be in Sheffield by November the 1st. Sheffield? Maybe it's easy to just claim you're Ukrainian. Yeah, just jump in a rubber dinghy. You'll be fine, mate. They give you an iPhone and everything. Well, they even ask you whether you prefer iPhone or... it's jumping. They ask you whether you prefer iPhone or Samsung. You can have a Samsung Galaxy, whatever the top one is at the minute. Have you got a P.O. box? No, but if you check the description to this post, you can send stuff by InPost or InPost. There are a set of cabinets and drawers and things just at the top of the road here. I give details in the... Nobody's done it yet. Nobody's sent me anything. But if you've got InPost available to you, InPost, I don't know how they're supposed to pronounce it. But if you've got such things near you, you can deposit things there and set the destination as here. And apparently they will contact me and give me a mechanism to open the box and retrieve whatever you send. I have PayPal if obviously that's pinned in the top. I don't actually need much in the way of money at the moment, guys. I'm doing all right because you guys were generous trying to get me money for a doggy wheelchair, and then I was donated one. I was gifted one by the local dog sanctuary. Well, I think they'd been gifted it by somebody, I assume, after their dogs passed, and the dog sanctuary passed it to me via the local police, which was an interesting choice given my situation, my circumstances, and my relationship with the police. Don't worry, I'm not a criminal. Well, they say I am. I'm not like a thief or a druggie or whatever. Just being homeless, you come into contact with the police, don't you? Yeah. Don't you? Oh, I've got my next tent lined up already, my friend. I've already got my next tent, my next big tent. I have 2 small tents as fallbacks as well, in case of emergencies or in case I have to leg it, in case I have to go on the run. If ever I'm on the lam, I've got 2-man and 3-man tents. I got more tents and more survival sleeping bags than I know what to do with. Sleep mats. People have been very generous beyond my needs. Some people have just turn up and donate without contacting me and asking me, do I need? And so I end up with things. It's not that I don't need them. it's good to have a fallback, like to have a let's say a 2-man tent. If this tent fell apart, you know, big storm, big storm, or if this field flooded and I had to go and just spend a few days somewhere else until it dried out, having a go bag ready with a tent and a survival sleeping bag and a roll mat, a sleep mat, that's nice. It's good to be prepared. And that's my situation. I haven't used some of the things that I've been given. Sometimes I've got a friend who might need something and I've got spare, you know. Yeah, it's good. I'm so lucky to have you guys, to have support. But yeah, please, before sending anything, do ask, do check with me, do I need? I don't want to start like a tent collection. I've already paid, no, I haven't paid Karen. Oh, I think I have actually. I think I did. I paid her last month. We've got she found me a second-hand tent that will replace this should I need it during winter. So if things go totally tits up with this one, even though I've done my best to keep the sun off it through summer, my best so far is 7 months before a tent becomes ripped apart, and then typically I'll get another 6 months just by covering it with a new tarp. Keep the frame in place, keep the poles up, and just cover it with multiple tarps, and build a new tent out of the frame plus tarps. I think I managed 13 or 14 months out of the last one in total. 7 months before it took major damage, like the entire roof gone, wasn't it? The entire roof went, and I had vertical splits from ceiling to floor down the sides. And then we had the great mouse infestation. And that was a right royal pain in the fucking ass. But eventually some friends bought me from Temu, of all places, 4 of the most fantastic mouse traps you've ever seen. Fantastic they are. My only problem with them is they've got these little pots that you put the bait in. So you put like a mayonnaise or a barbecue sauce or something in. My only problem is that after 2 days the ants have emptied the pots. They rob the bait. At the minute, I had a couple get in a while ago and start eating some chocolates that my friend Karen got me. I think I had a box of roses, I think it is it? It's an oblong box that comes outwards. So it's not really oblong, but it starts as a square. It's a square all the way up, but the square gets bigger as you go up. Blue, I think it's roses. Quality Street are purple, aren't they? This box was blue. But the mice nibbled on the little bits of my fucking chocolate. So I can't see anywhere where they got in. So I think they climbed in on the wire from the solar panel that comes into the tent. I gotta be careful about that. Put it through the little zipper flap and keep the zip tight. I think that's where they must have got in. But I got 2 in one night, and I've had nothing since. So now I don't bait the traps much. Maybe once a week I'll bait them just to see whether we get anything, and so far the ants get all the bait rather than the mice. So I've seen no sign of mice. I got a bag of food in there that includes a whole load of breakfast cereal, which I think they would go for if they were there. There's a box of Weetabix and 2. I think there's a big box of Weetabix, a little box, a single one, and then there's a single pack that's out. I think if the mice were there, they would have gone for that. But we haven't had that, so the mouse infestation. But no, I'm okay. I'm okay for tents. I got more. The tent I'm in, I've already got the next big one. The next 6-man or 8-man, whatever it is, and I've got a 2-man and a 3-man as my emergency fallbacks, 2 survival sleeping bags, a bedroll, one of those foam bedroll, I don't know what else to call it. It's like a foam yoga mat. I think it's silver. Got all that. I've got more kit than I know what to do with them. I am overstocked in many ways. Bedding. Bedding. Quilts. I had this quilt that acts like a sponge. It just draws moisture out of the air. My friend Karen gave me another quilt quilt duvet. I think that's similar to a Nordic. I think that's what you would call it in Norway and Sweden. I think it's similar. But this thing just draws. It doesn't even need to be on the top. It doesn't have to be the top layer in bed. If there's moisture in the air, if we hit the dew point and there's moisture in the air, condensation, this one quilt just grabs it all. So my friend Karen gave me another quilt, and I was supposed to throw this old one away, and I kept it. And now the new one is just as brown and manky as the old one. 1 year later. I can't tell them apart, except on those really damp nights. You feel it, and feel the other. Oh, you're the new one. You're the sponge that draws the moisture out of the air. Did I finish? I don't think I finished it still, folks. Still haven't finished it. It'll be cold. But this lady that dropped off the cushions the other day, I think there's a heavy sheet she just brought with them as well. I think I've got a quilt in storage as well. I've got an extra quilt. I've got a whole bale of towels. So I got more towels than I know what to do with. I got. Let me put it this way. When I had to empty the old tent so that we could take it down and put the new one up, it took me 3 days to empty. 3 days of solid hard work carrying shit in and out. I've got like a Queen Anne armchair. I've got a carpet. I've got a chest of drawers. 2 double mattresses on top of a bed frame. No legs, but the bed frame gets me off the ground by this much. And then the 2 mattresses. I got loads of these tote boxes, these big boxes for putting food and clothes and things in. I've got 1.5 sacks of dog food and even more treats. If I was to put the treats in a dog, in one of the, in an empty sack of dog food, one of the 16 or 18 kilogram bags, I think the treats that we've got would fill one of those sacks and be more than the food that she's got. In a lot of ways I've got way too much. And that's before you start talking about my EcoFlow, my cool box, my solar panel, phones, tablets, laptop, I've got an electric blanket, for fuck's sake. I used it 3 or 4 times last at the back end of last winter, maybe late February into March. Electric blanket. Tramp. Electric blanket. Come on. I should be embarrassed to call myself a tramp, really, you know? I'm more of a glamp than a tramp. Let me scroll. Thank you for the offer, Sahara Moonshine, but I'm okay, mate. I've got my next tent lined up and I've got backups lined up. Give the OG pillar to Tina. She would just rip it apart and make a right old mess of it. 14 degrees here today. Time to get moving, says Tom. Yeah, Norway gets cold, doesn't it, mate? You've got my t-shirt, says Roger. Well, the one I'm wearing. Bright orange. There's Karen. How long ago? 2310 was 11 minutes ago. See how far back I am, look. You only have to ask if you need anything. Thank you, Sahara Moonshine. Thank you, thank you. He doesn't like to ask. This is true. I don't like to ask. I don't. I'm terrible. People will ask, what do you need? And I keep promising to make and maintain a list of what do you need, but I don't like to. See, if I had a list and then someone asks me and I prepare, and what do? Do I pick one or two items off the list and say I need that and that, or do I give them the entire list and say, get whatever you want off that list? I don't know. That seems presumptuous and rude and a little bit arrogant. And just the fact that that you maintain a list, it's difficult for me. It doesn't. Does the water run off the road and flood you? It did on the first day I was here. Then they dug a drainage ditch, well, twice. On the first day in the field and 30 days later, exactly 1 month later, it did it again. October the 10th and then November 10th stroke 11th. Flooded twice. First time ankle deep, ruined everything. Second time knee deep. And actually the initial wave was waist deep. And yeah, that was quite a day. Then they dug, about a month later, the local authority sent in a bulldozer and a backhoe, and they worked the land at the road end of the field, flattened it, and then the backhoe dug a big trench, a big ditch, to carry the water off, and then they did some road work and dug a culvert, wouldn't be the right word. I think they should have dug deeper and put a cattle grid over, but they dug a slight trench in the road, and then the water goes across into a gully on the way to the sea. But this year I'm really worried because they haven't maintained the ditch. It's overgrown to hell. There are plants and there are trees in that ditch with trunks like that, and that are my height, taller than me. It would be so easy if there's strong runoff from the two hills around. If there's strong runoff and they bring debris with them, the debris is going to get caught in the vegetation and it's going to become a blockage, and it is going to potentially flood the field. Now I used to have a big pickaxe that my mate Damien gave me 3 years ago. Because I'd not used it in 3 years, I threw it away when we just moved tents. When we swapped tents 3 or 4 months ago. Isn't it always the way? It's as soon as you throw shit away that you need it. I could have gone up there if I'd still got that pick. I could have gone up there and been the change that I want to see in the world. I got to be in the one cleaning out the vegetation out of that ditch. I assume that as soon as I started, the cops would have been all over me, asking what I was doing or why. But it needs maintaining. You can't have a drainage ditch and allow it to get that overgrown. I could have a word with my friend the mayor. No, maybe not. Bad idea. Couldn't got me arrested last time, didn't we? Eduardo! Does the water off and flood? So potentially. Mr. S, Mr. Shirafsha. Hello, hello. I didn't see you there. That was Karen saying evening. There's Tom saying hi to Mr. S. Nice colour shirt, yeah. It's quite vibrant. I put on this morning. I wore my vest. The vest I'd been wearing, I wore for, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. I stretch these things to a point, you know what I mean? They were Quality Street. Were they? I thought blue was roses. Anyway, quilt equals type of blanket. It's a quilted, it's a padded blanket, yeah. It's a duvet would be the French word. Nordic in the north, in the Nordic countries. Oh, dine, dune, duh, okay. My Swedish friend said Nordic, but okay. Norway uses a different word. Oh, plaid, which is a thinner blanket. Oh, that's Karen off to bed. Good night, Karen. I think he said something about new specs at the start. Yeah, these are +3s from Josie. She brought a bag with all sorts of glasses of various sizes and styles, and I think there was only 2 different strengths, but lots of pairs, including you know the ones that have the thing around, the plastic thing around the back. You pull apart and the magnet. I quite like those. I wore those for the first day. A little bit awkward with all the plastic around and what have you, because I wear my glasses in bed. Now the +3s are a little bit too much for me. The ones that Karen got me that weren't quite strong enough, I could look around. I could use them for reading and they were almost strong enough. But if I looked around in the real world at distance, they didn't give me a headache or anything. These are not right. And I know reading glasses, you're only supposed to use for reading. You're supposed to take them off, you know, pop them up on the top of your head when you're not reading, when you're looking out in the real world. But yeah, they do cause me slight issues if I forget to take them off my face, which I'm used to just kind of leaving them on a bit. No, it's not the lighting, they are different. Let me just scroll back and make sure I've not missed anything. Okay, they was played from Tom and his for the couch. Whoa, okay, yeah, a thick plaid, or think plaid. There was Karen saying good night. Yeah, folks, Karen came out Saturday night. Plane was delayed, I think 3.5 hours. She got to her place here. Must have been, I'm guesstimating, based on when she arrived at the airport. It must have been nearly 5 o'clock in the morning that she got to her place. Should have been Saturday night. It ended up being 5 o'clock Sunday morning. And her body clock's been off since. She slept late the last 2 nights. Just wear a high-vis vest, you get away with almost everything. Yeah, if you want to clean out the ditch. I mean, it would be a lot of work. It's what are we looking at? How wide is the field at the top? 30 meters? And the ditch is, what, 1 meter wide by 1/2 meter deep? Now all you have to do, I mean, I've got saws. Those would probably be the easiest way. If I just cut away everything as close to the ground as possible, rather than trying to dig without a pick. I don't think I've got anything that would. But if I took everything off at ground level, so that it's less likely to stop any debris, that would probably be good enough, wouldn't it? The only problem is it's not my land. Would I get in trouble for like vandalism or whoa! Fuck! Bastard thing! Hold on folks, if you're still there. I don't know if you're still there, but I gotta find my phone. Oh, there's the beer spill. That's not good. Where's... Oh, bugger. Let me check that the phone's undamaged. Jesus, it landed on a brick. Is everybody still there? Fuck. Hold on. Hold on. Let me go. I'm going to go at the end. Is that Roger leaving? Oh, it's jumping. I hate it when it does this. Okay, there we go. Sleep well, Karen. Good night. And then I'll watch from the begging tomorrow. Head down early start. Dogs getting vaccines at 8 a.m. At least you've still got both dogs, Roger, after the other week. That was a scare for you, I'm sure. Mr. S has a coupon for a free pair of glasses. Don't know if the store Pearl is also in Spain. I've no idea. But I've got 5 or 6 pairs of glasses now. Literally, Josie brought me like a plastic envelope with all the goodies, all the bits and pieces that she was giving me. There's cables, there's the 12 volt to USB adapter, cables 12 volt to USB adapter. There was a tablet which I'm struggling to make work. Technically works, but Google are messing me about at their end, I think. Actually, it might just be the tablet rather than Google. Google says the login happens okay. It's the tablet that refuses to work after. What else was in the pack from Josie? Lots of glasses. 12 volt adapter. Glasses adapter. Tablet. There was loads. I should have done a video, but it was in the middle of my fugue. Whatever the word is. My depression, whatever you want to. Depression's not the right word. It's just my general can't be arsedness, which isn't a great thing to be admitting to, but sometimes life gets you that way. It does me anyway. Was that wind? Yeah, the wind took out the tennis racket of death, which isn't even turned on. It's plugged in but not turned on, and the wind caught it, and then it knocked the phone over. Phone landed on a brick. I don't know which side, up or down, but yeah, picture's clear. It's a good quality phone. Picture should be clear. I got good lighting. My light's on full blast. What's the phone? It's a Galaxy Z Flip 4? Or just Galaxy Flip? No, just Samsung Flip 4. Whatever. It's not bad for a tramp, eh? It's supposed to fold in half, like a flip phone. Bendable screen. But it's one of the early models. They didn't master it until the version 5. So as soon as this folds slightly, as soon as it goes off, like reboot off. In fact, it won't even reboot until you connect it to a power supply. It's not just that it goes off, it's that it goes off and stays off until it gets some input on power. Even though it could be 99% fully charged, it just won't work until you connect it to power and then do the whole reboot thing. Hold the start button for 8 seconds or whatever it is to reboot. But it should have been a damn good phone. But it gave Karen trouble, so she set it aside. She was going to use it in her business. But she figured my need was greater. So thank you, Karen, even though you might not be here still. But yeah, thank you. Oh, that was meant to be from the beginning. Okay, that's a typo begging. I only just caught that. Watch from the beginning tomorrow. Okay. Okay, Roger. I'll probably watch it myself tomorrow. You know I'm a narcissist. I like to watch myself back. Get yourself a high-vis vest. Does this t-shirt not count? Let me... Oh, I'm not even on live chat, look. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. No, I'm really lucky to have you guys supporting me and all the things that that you people help me with the PayPal donations, with the practical, real world kind of donations. My friend Anthony bringing me a full Irish breakfast, a full cooked breakfast this morning, and he brought one for my mate Joby over there, as well as bringing me the beer, you know. I'm not going to say that. I did just lose half a can of beer when that tennis racket went over. Let me just check on Tina. Oh, are you in the wet? Oh, sorry, babe. Yeah, the can of beer splashed her. She's wet. Hey, babe. Come here. You're out of reach. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you with the beers. Chin scratch. Chin scratch. For anyone arriving late who hasn't seen her ladyship this evening, let's I don't like having to scroll to find the light. Here she is. But you see that water, you see the wet down there, that's where the beer can landed. So her legs and possibly backside. Sorry, Tina. Hey babe, say hello to the people. Mr. S is talking to you. Mr. S, Mr. Sharafsha. Huh? Yeah. You're not interested. She doesn't like the light. I don't know why. Let's come back to me. The guy who likes to think he's the star of the show even though he knows he isn't. Gonna have to open that with a can of beer already, folks, because we lost that one. Look at the damage it took when it fell. Fucking tennis racket. Because I had the coffee, I only brought 2 cans out. I don't know where my... Oh, I missed the... I do have a rubbish bin today, but it's not visible to me from where I am. I also wouldn't like the light blasting in my eyes when it's dark, says Mr. S. You're probably right, but... She's the star of the show. She has to be in the spotlight at some point. Okay, folks, what are we going to talk about? There has been a bit of science news lately, hasn't there? Life on Mars? Maybe? Did we catch that one? I think the newspapers will have run away with the story more than it should be, but that was interesting. Now, instead of silly announcements like Clinton did back in, whenever that was it 99? When they got it wrong about the bacteria in the soil that looked like a little worm. This time they've done it proper. Null hypothesis. Trying to disprove yeah. So they found some markings, some dots which are from metal being broken down in a way that on Earth only ever happens, oh, what's it called? It's like something synthesis, chromosynthesis, something like that. They found a residue that only happens when when metals rust and break down. Some of the results get eaten by, I think, bacteria. and then leave this other deposit. And that's what they found. They found this other this secondary deposit on Mars. And they said, right, let's start from the hypothesis that if the hypothesis that, hey, it's life, can we disprove it? Can we find anything that we know of in science to rule that out? And they've looked at everything they can think of. There's no known chemistry on Earth or anywhere else that can break. So when the metal gets broken down and the rust, for want of a better word, then gets eaten, there's no known mechanism other than this something or other synthesis, which happens when life eats the broken down deposits to make secondary deposits of their own. There's no other way of making that stuff that we know of other than life. They're not saying it is life. They're just saying that they can't disprove the possibility. There's no known, with current knowledge of science, there's no other way that we know of that could do that. So rather than, hey, life on Mars, rather than rolling out the rah-rah razzmatazz, they're going quietly and calmly with, there's the possibility, and so far we can't disprove that possibility despite trying everything we know. That's interesting. And it's good that they've gone that way rather than the big pronouncements of life on Mars. But of course the newspapers and magazines are going to run with life, because that's how they are. Unfortunately, I now also miss scientific and good news. Yeah, reading news is kind of depressing, isn't it? I kind of get that. I've cut right down. I do occasionally glance at the BBC headlines, but what annoys me is the British Broadcasting Corporation and the lead story, or stories. See, I would expect the top 10 stories to be 8 or 9 about Britain. And then we'll have a couple of whatever's happening in the world and wherever. It's not what they do. The first 8 or 9 are off in the world, you know. Somebody gets shot in America. No, I don't mean the biggie. I mean, obviously that was a big story. I just mean like some random killing. There was somebody was shot in the Netherlands. And I'm thinking, that's sad for that person and their family. And if you're in that city, maybe you're bothered. Maybe if you're in the Netherlands, you're bothered. I'm not. Why do I care? Some person I'd never, and this was just like a normal person in the street. It wasn't like a major politician or an assassination. I'm just looking at it thinking, why is this the top news story on the British Broadcasting Corporation? Who's that story aimed at? If you're having to troll the whole world to find one piece of bad news to throw at me, why are you bothering? Why are you doing that? It used to be that there'd be bad news enough, like in your town or in your county or in your country. Now it's like they scour the world to bring you bad news, and it's. I know Mr. S is in the Netherlands, but if some person got run over in Morecambe in Lancashire, England, would you expect that to be the top story in the Dutch news? It's ridiculous. You're having to scour the whole world to find bad news. And like the 4th story down, I can't remember what it was now, but it was like something about knitting patterns or something. And I'm just looking at it thinking, the 4th most important story in Britain is about knitting patterns. don't get it. What are their priorities? British Broadcasting Corporation giving news to Brits. I don't get it. My thing about my thing about science news is that there are certain stories that you can just predict are going to be there, and they never come off. They never come to fruition. Alzheimer's breakthrough, Parkinson's breakthrough, cancer breakthrough, new battery technology, photo cells, solar panels that are 1,000 times better than what we, and it's like they're already 35% efficient. How are you going to get 1,000 times better than that? What are you talking about? The scope for a threefold improvement, that's all. But most of these technologies just never happen. The improved batteries happen once every 30 years. Lithium ion was the last big breakthrough. Everything else has been incremental. Different chemistry to go with the lithium. Lithium iron sulfate is the current darling. But I can predict most news stories on a science blog. It's the ones that I just said. Potential, it's always a potential Parkinson's breakthrough, a potential Alzheimer's breakthrough. How much actual progress has been made with these things in the last 10 years? Considering that there's a new breakthrough every day, potentially. We're not getting there, folks. We're not getting there. Where did my bionics go? Where's the bionic? I remember bionic eyes, and this guy had this 8x8 grid of black and white pixels, and they were talking about, yeah, but if we can make it 64 by 64 or 1,000 by 1,000, and you're like, okay, where's that? Where is that? When it comes to bionic arms and stuff at the minute, it's guys with 3D printers doing the... Where's the science? Where's the tech? Where are the big companies? Where are our advances? I think I've had this rant before, in part. There's living dinosaurs on Mars, prove me wrong. Yeah, it's not easy to disprove. Some things can't be. This is a whole Sabine Hossenfelder? Sabina Hossenfelder, spelt with an E, but pronounced Sabina. Sabina Hossenfelder, maybe. She's been kicked out of one of the science institutes in Germany because she was critical of science, basically, of physics, and how it's not making the advances it should be because they're off chasing unprovable theory. If a whole area of science is untestable, can't be disproven, because it's all just waffle built on waffle, she says that's not science. And a whole load of people agree with her. But somebody who she criticised complained to the Science Institute, and they've kind of retracted her membership of that institute. I like Sabina as well. She's very direct. Well, Germans, you know, they are very direct and speak their mind in general. They can be blunt to the point of seeming rude, but I don't think they mean to be. I like Sabina, and I think she's right about the problems in physics, and in particular with what's it called, like some of this quantum stuff and some of this it's the not antimatter, but the there's a word It's like a reflection where you think when you've got the normal atoms that you've got, and you think, not atoms, but the particles you've got, and you think that everything should have an antiparticle. And the whole dark matter and dark energy stuff, a lot of it, string theory and all, a lot of it is like totally untestable. And science that can't be tested and disproven. And her thing is, there's a lot of like mathematicians, just somebody makes a theory, it's totally not tested. Someone else just makes a variation of the same theory and a variation of the same theory, and paper after paper after paper are being produced, and science has kind of been swamped by all of these papers being published, but not really peer reviewed properly, because what can you say? What can you do? They're kind of more or less untestable. And there's just this farming of new papers. Everybody wants to be, there's this publish or be damned thing in academia. And everybody has to be published and be on as many papers as possible. And then you quote their paper, but say you think that they're wrong and that you're going to do it with a +1 or a +2 on some variable that's involved. And your paper is just as untestable and undisprovable, unfalsifiable as their paper. And science is just getting swamped with all of this. Yeah, that you test math, and does the math look like it might work? Yeah, it looks like it might work. But what's the experiment to test it? Design the experiment that would get a result that can either prove or disprove your maths. There isn't any. And there probably never will be any, because you've built your fairy tale on top of someone else's fairy tale on top of someone else's fairy tale, and it's burning the public's money on things that have no relevance, that can't have any benefit, that can't go anywhere. Experiments are expensive, maths is cheap. Yeah. But it's just building up a pile of paperwork, a pile of papers that no human can get through everything. And even if you did read it, it doesn't get you anything. So yeah, all of the huge experiments nowadays, like the CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, like ITER, is it called? The one they're building in France, the big tokamak experimental reactor. I think that's what the ER stands for. International Tokamak Experimental Reactor. Maybe I'm making that up. I'm pulling that out my backside. Probably not, because the letters are probably in the wrong order, because they're probably not going to use English for the language of the thing. But yeah, so Sabina, she's railing against this whole branch of science that you need to, as she says, you need to start from a different, you need to observe something and then set about explaining what you're observing. And that's not what they're doing. They're doing maths that goes nowhere, and that's it. I mean, it's what's the problem that you're going to solve? You're just getting published. That's the problem you're solving. How to keep publishing and make out to your funding partners and to your university that you're important because you've got published papers. I used to live in Geneva, says Tom. We had a school trip to CERN, but I didn't pick up anything useful. Did you enter a parallel universe like I did? That Bible stuff that I said the other week that I read and now isn't right. I've literally done Mandela effect. I've literally switched to a parallel universe, folks. I need to get back. I need to get back to my own universe. You need to get published to get a doctor degree, a PhD or similar. Yeah, it's all about publish. Yeah, that's something. But what, going way back, it was nice to see that the Mars life on Mars stuff was done in an appropriate way. We got this thing that, as far as we know, can only be done by life. Let's investigate every other possibility that we can think of that might. Is there some novel chemistry? Is there some other way? Is there anywhere on Earth that we're missing? Does anybody know? Spread word out to geologists and things and chemists. What are we missing? What is there any other way that this stuff that's been broken down could then be eaten and broken down further, or that could be broken down further to this second order deposit, other than by life? And nobody can find any. So to see that process, to start with a hypothesis and try and reject that hypothesis, rather than hurrah, life on Mars, and then oh whoa, no, that can be done this other way. I thought that was good. That was good to see. That's proper science in action, being done the right way. And even now, the people who write the paper aren't saying yes, life. They're saying we can't reject the possibility. We've got no other explanation, but maybe one day we'll find some other explanation. Not going hyperbolic and over the top. I woke up in hospital in 2012 and was told my heart had stopped. Who knows? Yeah, you're a ghost. Yeah. Maybe while your soul left your body, maybe a demon got in there. That used to be a belief, didn't it? That's the reason we say bless you when someone sneezes. It was believed that when you sneezed, your soul left your body, and a baddie, a demon or some such, could get in at that point. By saying bless you to the person who sneezes, you're protecting them from the devil or the demons. Let me scroll. International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. I'm surprised that the letters are in that order. Thermonuclear rather than tokamak. Okay. But it is a tokamak, isn't it? I think it is. Reconnecting. Where am I? It keeps jumping. No, don't. As soon as I take my finger off the screen, this is intolerable. The whole dinosaurs thing. Dinosaurs fascinated. I think they fascinate all boys, or 90% of boys, when we're kids. So much of what we learnt back then is now disproven and is wrong. So much. I think I've mentioned this before. Somewhere between 1/3 and 2/3 of all dinosaur species never existed. That is like the most stunning and fascinating fact ever. They always used to wonder, where are all the child dinosaurs? Why do we never find a child Tyrannosaurus? Well, that's because you did, and you thought it was a different species, and you called it a dwarf Tyrannosaurus. The children had bony protrusions, usually around the neck, to protect them, and as they reach maturity, the bone is reabsorbed. You know how bird bones are hollow and like honeycomb to keep them lightweight? Well, dinosaur bones were. And that means that the calcium or whatever could be reabsorbed really quickly. So a baby Tyrannosaurus would have this collar to protect the neck. And so would many other dinosaurs. And then as they reach adolescence, which is a word I couldn't remember the last time we were talking on this subject, these bones get reabsorbed and disappear. And so there was such a difference between this mini or dwarf Tyrannosaurus and the full-size one. They thought it was a different species. So a lot of species of dinosaurs that were identified and named, categorized, catalogued and named, there's no such thing as a dwarf Tyrannosaurus. It was an adolescent or child. Then you've got the other ones like I think it was the Brontosaurus, which was independently discovered twice, and both people who discovered it gave it different names. Brontosaurus came second, and therefore the original name, which I think was Apatosaurus, should, by all the rules, take precedence. That was the first time that species was identified. That name should be used, but the public won't let go of Brontosaurus, and so Brontosaurus is winning. The last I heard, anyway. I think it was Apatosaurus. I might have the wrong one. But between 1/3 and 2/3 of all dinosaur species that have been identified literally never existed. That's a fun fact. I love that fact. I've talked about it maybe a couple of times before now, but yeah. Let me go at the end and then I'll work back. Iter is also Latin for travel or journey. Iterative, that means to move through or to cycle through. I don't know. Itinerary. I guess itinerary, that would be to do with travel, yeah? Or would it? A travel itinerary. You can have just an itinerary for a meeting, which is like an agenda. I don't know. Interesting. Science is science, but to some degree, theory is just faith. An untestable theory is just fact. Oh, excuse me, I got the windy pumps. I don't know about that. It's jumped back to experiments are expensive, maths is cheap. This is certainly true with like particle physics and similar. Symmetry, what was supersymmetry? That was when I was talking about matter and antimatter, the whole supersymmetry idea. Yeah. Mr. S will be back in a few minutes if we're still here. We're out. I didn't think I would get to 2 hours. I was a little bit iffy on whether I'd have anything to talk about. How different is the Brontosaurus and the Diplodocus? Oh, let's argue about pronunciation. Diplodocus or Diplodocus? As an Englishman, I would go Diplodocus. I like one easy Diplodocus. Spelling out the individual syllables. Brain freeze, brain fart. The individual syllables, the Spanish do that. The Americans do it a little bit because they've got quite a lot of Spanish influence in their language that they don't realise. I prefer Diplodocus because it just trips off the tongue as one word. But that might just be me. Let's keep going. How different is it? I don't know. Possibly size. Isn't Brontosaurus... Is there something in there that means thunder? The Bronto... I don't know where I'm getting that from. I don't know where I'm getting... I think something about Brontosaurus meant thunder or thunder maker. The saurus is obviously lizard, a terrible lizard kind of, as in dinosaur. A name coined possibly by Richard Owen, dinosaur, the word. Was it the same bloke that coined the term fossil? Or was that someone else? Not sure. Docus, you like Docus. Yeah, that's Diplodocus. I like Diplodocus. But that, it might not even just be an English thing, that might be a north of England thing. I don't know. How different are they? Well, they're both, what's the term for those four-legged ones that stand around in water or at the water's edge? There is a name. It's probably got tetra and pod. No, because anything with four legs is a tetrapod. There's a specific word for that branch of dinosaurs. It's not coming to mind because my head doesn't work anymore. Brachiosaurus. There's also the Diathinkosaurus. It's a fantasy creature like an orc or an Ewok. Why are we discussing it? No, dinosaurs are real, or were real, to some extent. I mean, they're there. It's just that 2/3 of them might not have existed. Oh, here we go. It's jumping. It's jumping. I just feel my mind and thinking is totally infiltrated by unknown and unseen actors dictating my belief. It disgusts me. You think you're being played by the media and the science media and political media? It's possible. Sorry, I just need to adjust my sock. Ouch! My sock and my trousers. My sock was sticking to one of my open wounds. And I think I had a fly inside my trousers. Other one as well. Give us a second, folks. It's jumping up and down. I can't just leave it alone. I'm gonna have to record this at some point and show it to. I'm gonna have to do like a test, a separate video just to show YouTube. This is ridiculous. It's almost unusable. I'm gonna go no chat, then I'm gonna go top chat, and then I'm gonna go live chat and see whether it stops. I want to believe, like I said, solipsism is the word of the day for me. Remind me solipsism. That's not the one with the 3 statements. Dogs, hold on. Dogs have 4 legs. An Alsatian has 4 legs, therefore it's a dog. That's not that one, is it? That would be a terrible one. That's bad logic, but that's... If I can't prove it myself or explain it, I don't know it. Okay. That's quite philosophical. The whole idea of what can we know and how can we know it? What can we prove or disprove and how can we prove it or disprove it? And who do you trust? If someone else tells you, did it rain today? And now you can see whether it rained where you are, but what if you were away on holiday and you asked, did it rain in my hometown? You take someone else's word for it? Do you take like a meteorological office word for it, a news report of it? How can we know what we know? And who do we trust? Big questions. There's plenty I can prove. My family, my country, my name matters more. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. We all have to make our own decisions on these things about who we trust with info, what info you take in, like to prove a point. Do you have to gather all of the data yourself? Do you have to experience it? Is only direct experience account or historical records? Someone else tells you about historical records, do you trust them? There's all these, you water down at every step, don't you? You could go read the historical records, or you could have somebody else tell you about the historical records. That introduces an extra level of potential falsehood. Who do you trust? If you don't experience it yourself, does it count? Major philosophical questions in there to do with logic and what used to be called natural science once upon a time, or natural physics way back, I believe. I think that's a term. Yeah. We got another. I've got a document here on. I've got notes here with. Oh, look at that. That's wet. It's moist. We've got dew already, and it's only 12:15-ish. Let me have a look what I've got, because there are other science stories. I have, because I've not been on in a while. I have gathered a few. I have a collection of stories in my notes. The Life on Mars one wasn't the only one. Yeah, here's one. Okay, there's one. So solar panels work mainly from visible light, from the visible range of the light spectrum. A little bit of infrared, tiny bit of ultraviolet, but over time ultraviolet harms the solar panels, the solar cells. And scientists have developed, get this, from the skins of red onions, they've extracted a chemical that protects the red onion from ultraviolet, and they think that they can coat not the panels but the cells within the panels with this. They can make it's transparent to the actual chemical involved, but it blocks 99% of ultraviolet, which means that the panel will generate, let's say, 1% less energy because it's blocking the ultraviolet that was contributing. But it should extend the life of panels, what, 3-fold, 5-fold, 10-fold? Pick a number. Potentially, maybe, allegedly. It's at the test stage. But if true, that'll be quite a thing, because at the minute ultraviolet is one of the biggest causes of damage to solar panels. The other one being heat, unbelievably. Solar panels, you put them out in the sun, don't you? But they don't like ultraviolet and they don't like heat. They get too hot. So there's work needed to cool them somehow. And that's ongoing, with whether you put water channels behind them or fans. Some people have suggested cooling with low powered cooling fans like your computer. But if you can block 90% of ultraviolet, you could extend in theory, you could extend the lifetime, the working lifetime of solar panels massively. That changes the economics of the whole thing. How much longer people carry on tying into the grid and feeding into the grid and getting less and less money for their electricity, when there's more of a movement towards what are called microgrids, where, let's say, the people on a street will club together, get some kind of battery storage in one location, larger battery, and work a system where their excess goes into this local reserve, and then they draw from it and pay according to what they draw from it versus what they put into it. Microgrids are possibly going to be the big thing in the next 10 or 20 years. Rather than paying into the big electricity grid and getting nothing from the companies involved, the big electric companies are paying less and less per kilowatt hour of power. And some of them are like taking the mick, we would say in England, or taking the piss, if you want to be a little less delicate with your language. But yeah, panels that last longer changes the economics of it all. Then we're just back to waiting for that next big battery technology, as we were discussing earlier. How all these science stories every week or every day, there's stories about great new battery breakthrough. They never happen. Once every 30 years you get a big battery breakthrough. Once every 4 or 5 years you get an incremental, some slight chemistry change. The lithium ion, but it's lithium iron phosphate. Same, it's a tweak. So you get that massive change, and then everything after that is just a step, not a step change. That's the wrong word. It's a small upgrade. But the big changes only come once every 20 or 30 years. That's what we're waiting for with solar power and batteries. Is lithium iron phosphate it? It's safe. When it fails, it doesn't burst into flames. It's not as energy dense as some of the other battery technologies. So it tends not to get used in cars and things. Don't know. But I think, like we were saying earlier about how we get played by the media, and the science media is just as bad as any other media. Same stories week after week after week. New Alzheimer's breakthrough, new Parkinson's, new cancer breakthrough, new this breakthrough, new that breakthrough. And so few of them reach fruition. They die on the vine. Sometimes they just get bought up by a big competitor and suppressed, maybe. You know, someone who's making big money from an alternate technology snaps up the patents and what have you there when somebody's running out of money. They snap it up and just, oh, testing didn't go well, we're going to drop that. But don't release the results of the tests. Sometimes that happens, which can lead to conspiracy theories. But more often than not, the tech just doesn't live up to the promise. And the newspaper articles and the press releases have overhyped what the science paper said anyway. You find that a lot. The scientists say one thing and they add all sorts of caveats and cautions and more research is needed, those kind of statements. But the university that they're part of, the university has a press department. They want to be university of whoever we are. They want to be in the papers. They're going to hype that discovery. Potential discovery. 3, 4, 5 years later, that potential discovery just disappears up its own chimney and never heard of again. Overhyped by the PR department, even more overhyped by an overeager science press, newspapers in particular, but even some of the magazines like New Scientist and what's the American one? It's not Science Today. There's an American one that's about 150 years old as well. It's not coming to me. But they get caught up in the hype, overhyping a late potential finding, and these things just disappear then, don't they? We don't get the result we were eagerly awaiting, that great new battery technology from 5 years ago that we were hoping would have hit the shelves by now. It's not there. Where is it? Where are the bionic arms and the bionic eyes? Where are the exoskeletons that the disabled people were going to be able to run around with? Every now and again you hear about one or two. And then the company goes out of business and the person who's got the exoskeleton is left with an unsupported piece of tech that just doesn't work anymore. Those are the frightening ones. There was a story about some company that did eye implants. Some grid embedded within the eye, and then the company goes out of business and the eye just stops working. You got a lump of metal in your eye that's doing no good for you. It's just gone. It's like they've turned off the server at their end, and you're just like when a game stops working because the server's gone. That leads back to Lewis Rossman, but I'm not going to go there with that one today. That's why my icon is a Clippy. If anybody wants to look up Lewis Rossman and find out the story behind all that, please do. Louis, I think. Rossman. Lewis Rossman. For the story of Clippy. And you should own the technology that you own. People shouldn't be able to withdraw it from you after you've bought it. I'm going to go none, and then I'm going to go back to live chat and see whether I've missed anything. Scientific American, thank you, Tom. It was indeed. Let me go back. There's also the notion that our rulers sit on technology far advanced to what the public is shown, but it's more economical to release it incrementally. Are you going with like reverse engineered spaceships? Is that where are you doing Roswell now? I'm not sure I go for that. I'm not sure I go that far. They should use the NASA technology readiness levels. I'm not sure I'm aware of those. Oh, yeah, Mr. S, Mr. Sharafsha. All those next big thing stories are to bring in more new investors or more funding for research. They always end, the paper always ends with more research needed, which means pay me, fund me. My funding for this year's running out, so I'm publishing the paper now. Fund me for next year. Otherwise I might have to like leave university and go get a proper fucking job. Do something useful. Can't make it too late this evening, Mr. S. Okay. There's Tom. He's getting quite conspiratorial. If I can prove that they're truthful, capable, and in a position to know, I'll take their word that it rained. Fair enough, mate. Yeah. Okay, then I'm back to where I was. Somehow, chat, sometimes I'm sat here thinking, oh, I've bored everybody and nobody's talking to me. And then I go no chat and all chat, and suddenly there's extra messages that I'd not seen. What are you going to do? YouTube, your Ajax just doesn't work very well. I'm assuming it's Ajax. Might not be XML nowadays. It might be JSON that they're passing. Can I remember? JSON stands for JavaScript something object notation? Structured, maybe. JavaScript structured object notation? It's a guess. It's 10 years ago since I last looked at this shit, folks. I'm fairly sure they're not going to be passing XML in this day and age. Roswell fits the bill, but any other scenario, there's also more money to be milked by releasing one level up at a time. I mean, yeah, but there are a lot of conspiracy theories along those lines, but I'm not sure that there's much in the way of evidence of it. Except when you see the military do stuff. So, like a lot of the UFO sightings during the 80s, maybe? Could have been the, what do you call the bomb? B1 and B, not B1 and B2. The planes that are triangular, that are radar proof, more or less. The stealth fighter and stealth bomber. I don't know what they're called. I don't remember the numbering. But yeah, a lot of the UFO stories in certain places could well have been the testing of stuff like that. Whenever the military or the government start pushing a UFO story, it's usually a distraction from something else. I don't just mean like from a big headline. It's usually like a distraction from some actual science advance that they're not wanting the Russians or Chinese or whoever to know about. I always get, whenever we get these science committees in the Senate or wherever they are, I always wonder, when American government suddenly starts being open about UFOs. But the whole Roswell thing, I struggle with. When they talk about being able to crunch a metal up and have it unfurl again, to me that sounds like modern day crisp packets, metallicized plastic, where you take a plastic crisp packet and you, like, I don't know, is it electroplated or whatever? I don't know how it's applied, but there's a few atoms of metal on it and it looks like it's a metallic bag. Now the stories of that happening in the was it 57 Roswell? Something like that. Somewhere there or thereabouts. I don't believe that we had metallicized plastic way back then. The weather balloon thing, though, sounds implausible and unlikely. I don't know. Roswell. Some of the Russian crashed UFO stories make more sense than the American ones. You seen the one where the saucers are like embedded in the ground on edge? Yeah. Non-live chat. Let's see where we are. Okay, Roswell fits the bill is the last message. Oh, okay, no. More. Oh no, it jumped. That is still the last message. Okay, folks, what else we got to talk about? I don't know. I don't want to use up all my science stories on this one tonight. I don't think I'm going to go too long. I was in the mood to do a TrampCast. I don't know why I was suddenly in the mood. I've got a theory. How do you like this one? So a couple of weeks ago, all my friends were leaving Spain. Karen went home. Anthony had been out for a day or two, maybe 3 weeks ago, and gone. My friend Tom hasn't been around for a while. My friend Ismo isn't coming for another couple of weeks. So I was feeling, despite my friend Joby being here in the field, I was feeling a little and lost and lonely, like a lot of my support network gone. And then Sunday, really, although Karen was supposed to come Saturday, but as I said, she was delayed by a few hours by the airline. But suddenly I've got friends in country again, support networks, not just friends. That sounds not callous, but Karen's in the country. My friend Anthony's in the country. Anthony came around today with a breakfast and some beers. Karen's coming around tomorrow with water. And suddenly I'm feeling a lot more chipper. Suddenly, whereas yesterday I couldn't make myself do either the proper TrampCast or the TrampCast Hangout, the Sunday night one, today I'm like, hey, let's do it. But then I came out, I sat with Joby at about 9 o'clock, no, 8:30. I sat with Joby, we had coffee and what have you. As soon as I sat down, I started yawning. Sleep patterns all over the place at the minute, which again feeds in with my feeling a little down. I like to have a good nap in the afternoon when it's really hot, and then I can be awake more at night, stay awake later. That hasn't been happening. I haven't been having those midday naps. They've not been happening. And so my sleep at night has been all over the place. Nighttime is my favorite time. I love staying awake. If I can stay awake while 4 o'clock, watching YouTube videos, reading science articles, technology articles, whatever it is, that's great. Then get a few hours before 7 or 8, get up and do the things, and crack on with the day, and then in the afternoon have a nap. That's the pattern that I like. Nighttime, you're on your own. There's not too much going on around you to disturb you. You're not doing things on other people's timelines. You're not being disturbed by people. I like my night times. But to find myself falling asleep at, say, 10 o'clock at night and waking up at 2 in the morning, and that's me until I fall asleep somewhere around 7 in the morning, that's all higgledy-piggledy. That's all over the place. That's reversed. So that's part of why I've been down. The heat has been a big factor. The heat. This shit with my legs, with these open wounds. 14 ulcerated, pus-filled wounds that are that big on your legs. That's a downer. And then friends out of country. So if I can get my legs better, I've got friends in the country for a little while. I've got Joby here, that's good. If I can get things going again, start making a few videos, get out and about. I want to get on the cliff tops and do a sunrise one day soon. I haven't done a sunrise video in forever. All of that, folks. If I can get all of that going, legs, feet getting better now. It's slow going. About half of the 14 wounds are either fully healed or 90% healed. About half of them are there or thereabouts. Some of them are still quite ghastly. I was saying earlier, I had one grow some skin over it the other day, but it filled up inside. It was still swelling with pus. And I pressed on it, and 18 inches of a thick, gooey, bloody pus mixture shot 18 inches, shot across the bedroom. Splattered my lamp. Yeah, gross, I know. But they're all like that. Well, all of the ones that are still bad, I have to press on them about twice a day and drain the nasty. And then rub them with the hand sanitizer, the alcohol gel. That's my current treatment. The alcohol gel evaporates and dries everything off with it and leaves a crusty, more firm thing where recovery seems to happen a lot quicker. But yeah, it's all still rather yuck. Bearing in mind that in 3 days' time it will have been 4 weeks. 4 days' time, I guess, on the Friday, since the start of all this. When I went to Tweety's and got the blisters, that was the beginning of it. Clifftop sunrise defo, yeah, sunrise would be good to do. Tina and her wheels, she hasn't really been in them because if I'm not going anywhere, then she's not going anywhere. Their wheels really, I mean, she can't really just run around in the field here. There's these narrow passageways between the spiky bushes. So I'm still just, when we're doing the ablutions, when we're doing the necessaries, it's still just me carrying her back end with the belt for now. As soon as, because it takes like 5 or 10 minutes to get her set up in the chariot, just taking her for a pee and a poo, it's overkill, and she'd probably mess the chariot as well. Even when we use it, I think I'll walk her first to make sure that everything's out before we make a move. When the police were here setting it up the first time, when it had the front wheels as well, and I picked her up and put her in and didn't realise that she'd shat all down me. You think she can get used to them with practice and some tightening? I'm a little bit worried, folks, that Tina's, I think she's still deteriorating. I think there are signs that the front legs are starting to wobble. There are some other signs I don't want to go into. It's definitely degenerative. It's definitely, undoubtedly, 150% degenerative. I don't think she's got too long. To be honest, if you watch back to November, December last year, I was saying I thought she had 3 months. At the rate she was deteriorating at that point, now she stabilized for quite a while, but now there are signs that she's not, parts of her body she's not in control of as much as she was. Definitely degenerative. I'm going to be here to the end with her. I'm going to look after her as much as I can, as long as I can. I'll carry her wherever she needs to go. I'll, even if she's in her chariot and her front legs go, I'll prop her up, I'll hold her up. As much as I can, as long as I can, until life becomes kind of unbearable for her. No sign of pain at any point. But if her back legs don't work and her front legs don't work and she becomes incontinent, that's no life. Then we'll have to start making difficult decisions. Now, that vet that poked in places and had Tina squealing instantly, I don't believe. I'm picking Tina up, I'm carrying her around with a belt around her waist. When she's on the ground, I'm picking her up and moving her here and there. I'm manually picking her up and throwing her onto the bed. There's never a yelp, there's never a sign of any fucking pain. That woman put her hand under Tina's belly and Tina went, ow! And then the woman ran her hand down Tina's back and I was maybe distracted and suddenly Tina's, ow! I can't make Tina yelp. Nothing I do. I'm picking her up, I'm moving her about, I'm carrying her back end, I'm nothing I do. At no point ever in the last year have I made her yelp in any way with pain. That makes me suspicious. That makes me suspicious. I'm not sure I trust that vet. I was really happy at the time just to get a vet out here. But she handed over painkillers and some kind of relaxant and basically said, if that doesn't work, you'll have to make difficult decisions. And I'm like, no, bullshit. No. I don't see pain. Tina will bum shuffle when Joby in the morning comes over and sits here, we come and sit out for coffee. He'll walk past when he's ready and say, "Oh, hello," and I'll come out. Take me a minute or two to get my shoes on and get ready. Tina's out the door, and I can't say running around. She's bum shuffling all. When Karen and her fella come, same thing. Tina will race off down the road to go meet them. Today, when Anthony came, Tina's out the door and off to the car. There's no sign of pain. She's happy. I mean, her body's not working, the back end's not working, but there's absolutely no sign of pain. I know people say dogs have a higher threshold, a higher tolerance. That vet made Tina yelp twice instantly. Now, maybe you could argue the vet knows what she's doing and you're just a tramp in a fucking field, you don't know what you're on about. I can't rule out that possibility. But you'd think that with me picking her up, carrying her around with a belt around her waist, and the point on the back that the lady, that the vet was pointing at was towards the back end somewhere. You'd think with me carrying her around, moving her left and right, picking her up, holding her while she pees and poos. When she pees, I'm holding her up, she picks her back legs off the ground, and we're like, whee! She's in the air pissing with all her weight on this belt. With me picking her up and putting her on the bed, or picking the back end up and putting her on with me moving her, she has a habit of getting on the bed and laying across, and she's in my fucking way. So I'm throwing the back end around like, get over there, you bugger, you know, get out my way. You'd think at some point I would have hit one of these pain points that I'd have caught a nerve. Nothing. At no point. She's running, bum shuffling as fast as she can bum shuffle, come and meet Joby or Anthony or Karen. I don't know. We'll see. But as soon as my legs are, they don't have to be fully recovered. As soon as they're good enough that I can walk 300, 400, 500 yards or meters without my ankles and shins being on fire with pus-filled fucking volcanoes erupting. As soon as we're at that point, we'll be up and about and she'll be in a chariot and we'll be off. As soon as, folks, that's a promise. And I'll be making videos again. Exercise could always do wonders, yeah. Pack mentality, your family. She trusts you more, doesn't want to disappoint, says Tom. This is true, but I don't want her to be masking pain if she's in pain. And if, like I said, if things deteriorate too much. But I've seen evidence that her front paws, when she's trying to stand up, that she's collapsed and fallen over a couple of times. There's evidence that the deterioration moves on. There's other evidence, I don't want to go into it, but you know, dog, I love it a bit. What am I going to do without, you know, when the time does come, what am I going to do without her? My first dog ever, I was a cat person, I'm not a dog person. I wasn't a dog person, I probably should say. She's my girl. Oh, she's just woken up. She was snoring a minute ago. Okay, folks, where are we for time? 2 hours 44. I'm probably going to call it at 3 if that's okay with you guys. Like I said, I was tired before we started. I'm happy to be back online, to be back in the saddle. I'm way behind with proper TrampCasts. I'm going to have a look and see what the weather's like the next few days. As long as it's not windy in an afternoon, I'm going to try and have a little bit of a catch up on a couple of those episodes. I don't want to promise it like for the next 4 days I'm going to do this. But at some point this week, I'll try and get a couple of TrampCast propers in, somewhere around maybe the 5 o'clock slot, maybe 6 o'clock. Well, I'll try and do that. Mr. S is off. Okay, mate. Like I said, I'm going to end in 15 minutes myself. Cheers, Mr. Sharafja in the Netherlands. Cheers, sir. Oh, Frank arrives just as Mr. S is leaving. Hey, Frank. I should apologise for not calling you back the other day. Let me explain. I got my phone and I've got my tablet. Okay? Now, this I can fully charge from dead in about an hour, hour and a half. So from if I get down to like 20 or 30%, 1 hour's charge, fully charged. I'm using this 90% of the time. The phone is just hooked to the EcoFlow, and I'm using the phone as a router or router. It's my Wi-Fi source. Because it's a phone, my WhatsApp, you can only have WhatsApp working on one device at a time. So my WhatsApp is on the phone. So when I'm sitting there thinking I should call Frank, and our time zone differences and your 4 o'clock in the morning stuff, and my sleep's been all over the place, and my phone's not what I'm using as my main device. So WhatsApp's on the phone in case I'm out and about, because you might need WhatsApp when you're out and about. That's my excuse. Pathetic as it is, I'm sticking with it. WhatsApp's, whereas Messenger can be installed on 2 devices and both work at the same time, WhatsApp doesn't. It makes you pick a device and log in on one or the other. That's a bit awkward. But good to see you here, Frank. Anyway, man, we will have that catch-up conversation sometime soon. It's fine, he says. It's fine, friend. Okay. The 6 hours, yeah. My evening, you're still at work. My night time, you've probably just knocked off and don't want to be having phone calls at like 6 o'clock in the evening your time, which might be midnight my time. And then when you are kind of relaxing on an evening and would take the call, it's like 2, 3, 4 my time. Like I said, ordinarily I like to be awake 2, 3, 4. I'm on the wrong device and my sleep pattern's been all over the place. I'm not awake when I want to be awake. If I fall asleep at midnight and wake up at 6 in the morning, I am so pissed off. I've missed my favourite part of the day. Anywhere kind of midnight while 4, 5, 6, that's my time when I get like some alone time. The dog's asleep, I'm not being pestered, I don't have to walk her, I don't have to do, there's nobody, there's no surprise visitors. Apart from the odd drunk on the main road, I'm not listening out for trouble, usually. There's no distractions, I can just put a film on, put a TV series on. That's my time, or catch up with people in America. But my sleep pattern's just been disrupted to hell. I talked about earlier, if you want to catch up, watch the full stream, there are segments where I've already covered this, so I'm not going to repeat the whole thing. But just a brief catch up for my mate Frank, because we almost called each other the other day, but I said, right, I'm here, and he disappeared for an hour. And then when he came back and said, okay, now, I was asleep. So we missed. Yeah, it's time zones, folks, time zones. We need to eradicate them. It's not possible, is it? Determined by the sun, really. Daylight. So in case you missed it, we're going to be ending in about 10 minutes on the 3 hour mark. I think that's what we said. I haven't got much in the way of topics, and I don't want to. I've got a few science topics stored up, but I don't want to burn through them all in one go. I am going to try and catch up with some proper TrampCasts this week. I don't know whether 5 o'clock's the best time. 6 might be better. I don't know yet for the midweek ones. Days getting shorter and getting dark early. Sunrise ain't till about 6:45, mate. It's like 7:30, almost 7:45 here before the sun's up. Although Spain are off kilter. Spain are 1 hour ahead of where they should be time-wise. Madrid's on the same line of whatever that is, longitude maybe, as London, but they're 1 hour ahead permanently. So solar noon is 2 hours off of actual. Solar noon is 2 p.m. here. Now you'd think, okay, it's summertime, so it should be 1 p.m. But no, because Spain's already 1 hour ahead of where it should be. There's a 2 hour offset. Just talking the other day, or it might even have been today, with Joby, the other Englishman in the field. We're about 4 weeks away from the clocks going back. At which point, instead of going dark, currently it's dark here somewhere around 8:15, somewhere between 8:15 and 8:30. Over the next month, that'll slide back another, what, half hour? So that will be 7:45. But then when the clocks change, that'll be 6:45. Ouch. Fucking ouch. Dark at 6:45 in 4 weeks' time. Ouch. Not looking forward to that. That reminds me of when I first arrived in this field, got flooded out, and all my devices were kaplunk, and I had 5 months with nothing. As soon as it went dark, my day was over. Basically, my life was over. Didn't have a light, couldn't do I'd have newspapers with a quiz page or the puzzle page, Sudoku, crosswords, quizzes, logic problems, but I could only do them through the day while sat on a park bench. As soon as it went dark, that was it until 8 o'clock in the morning. And we're coming up on that time now. It makes me, I mean, I've come a long way. I've got a lot of stuff now that I didn't have then. Eco flows, phones, tablets, multiple tablets. 3? I got my old one that was very, very slow. I got the one that Karen's given me, and now I've got the one that Josie brought. That I can't quite make work just yet. Got to fix that. Google report that it logs in successfully, but the tablet refuses to work, saying factory reset plus password change on your account within quick succession. I'm not going to let that happen. Something like that. It has a recent password change or something error, and it's not talking about the password change on the device. It's talking about me changing my Google password. I think I changed it to what it already was. I had a couple of failed logins for some reason, probably typos. You know when you get the asterisks. And so I went for a password reset. And I reset it to what it already should have been. All my other devices carried on working, but this new one just won't work. We'll have to see how that pans out. It's a nuisance, but yeah. Your winter is definitely approaching. First day of autumn here. Okay, September 20. Are we 21st or 23rd? Where are we date-wise, folks? 23rd. Yeah, I think different countries take this whole, whether it's the 21st or the 23rd. Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? 3 months after June 21st, the first day of summer. Yeah, technically it's the first day of autumn everywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. First day of spring in the Southern. Is that right? I think that's right. Tom, undecided. Tom wants to go to a massive rave in Sheffield. Yeah, you mentioned Sheffield earlier and I didn't know why. I'm fleeing the country in 1 or 2 weeks. Germany first stop was my first, but I want to go to a massive rave in Sheffield on November 1st. Okay. Sheffield. That's my neck of the woods. I'm from a town nearby called Barnsley. Well, from a village called Darfield, just outside, well, 6 or 7 miles outside Barnsley. Day's getting shorter, yeah, we've all got that. Yeah. We're getting there, folks, we're getting there. Like I said, I brought a sweater out tonight. A little bit earlier, there was a cool breeze. There's still a breeze now, but the breeze has warmed up a little bit. But there was that I was just the wrong side of comfortable, and I thought, oh, if I sit here for 3 hours, I'm going to be cold by the end. And I couldn't find just like a long sleeve t-shirt or a good thick shirt. The only thing I had like laying around that I could find in the dark, because the light and everything was already out here. This jumper's been on my bed since spring. He says burping. So I brought that out, but I haven't needed it so far. I will tell you this though, last night I slept in the bed with a cover over for the first time since spring. There's been once or twice I've thought about pulling a cover over at 5 or 6 in the morning. Rotherham, that's even nearer my neck of the woods. Rotherham. You're going to have to look up Barnsley and Darfield. Darfield. Go look at the shithole that I was brought up in. No offence, Darfield, but you know what I mean. There. Yeah. Okay, folks, we're on 2:58. We've got less than 2 minutes until I'm going to wrap this up. I will, for anyone who hasn't seen, anyone who's arrived late, I will show you her ladyship. She's a lady. Here she is. Hey, babe. Hello, you. You gonna say hello to peoples? There's some new peoples I haven't seen you yet today. She's there. We'll come back to her before we finish, when we do the traditional sign-off. When we do the traditional sign-off in just over a minute. I guess I could have just waited and shown you her there, but this is us, folks. We're coming up on the party will be in Rotherham, yeah. We're coming up on the last minute. If you want to say your goodbyes, now's your time to do it. 30th anniversary for Niche nightclub. Long since closed down, was too young at the time. Okay. You've had your first frost of the year. I mean, you are on the border with Canada, aren't you? Halfway between the equator and the North Pole. Okay. It's jumped. Tom needs a visa first. Ever since the brave Brits said middle finger to Brussels, this is the consequence. Yeah, it's unfortunate. How long does a visa take to apply for? Terry says good night. Cheers, mate. Oh, look, I've left it. I'm late. I'm too late to leave. I'm out of here, folks. We're on the 3 hours mark. I shall watch this back tomorrow, see if I've missed anything. The chat is jumping around quite horrendously. But we'll catch up soon, Frank. We'll catch... Oh, Jack Attack. Jack Attack comes in. Android Central Fact. Is this to solve my password change after a factory reset? Jack Attack jumps in with something. I'm going to jump out now, folks, okay? Possibly. Okay, I'll have a look at that. I won't be able to... I've got to wait for them to post-process all of the chat now, haven't I? I'll have to catch that tomorrow, mate. Have you been there long, Jack? You been lurking all this time, or have you just jumped in now? I bet you've been lurking, you bugger. Okay, folks, let me do flip and... in the tradition of the channel, from Tina. Hey, Tina. I'm going to take you inside in a minute, darling. Take you for walkers and then take you inside. From Tina. And from me, Delta Mike, out. Catch you later, folks. Ta-da.